Hey guys, I'm going to review the new Franklin ProSensor T6 stud finder. This is a slimmed down version of their bigger 710 stud finder, and it comes at a lower price point as well. Alright, so I'm going to try it out on this mock-up wall here where you can see the studs and see how it's performing. Nothing here but plain drywall. And then I'm going to take it inside and use it on textured drywall. And the particular textured drywall in my hallway and my entryway is so bad. For stud finders, I've never found one that worked well on it. The only thing I've been able to use on it are magnets. So we'll see how this one handles it. Alright, so up close on this thing, it's got 6 LEDs and 6 sensors, and it kind of looks like a T. I think that's why they named it the T6. On the side here, you've got your one button that you push to calibrate it and put it up against the wall. You don't really have to do a separate calibration step. You just click it and put it up against the wall and slide it back and forth. In the handle, you've got this little kind of plastic flexes, and you've got 2 AAA batteries that it runs off of. The only thing that I don't like about this thing is you got to flex this a little bit to get that in and out, and the plastic doesn't feel super rugged. So if you drop this, I might be a little bit concerned about the longevity. But then again, most stud sensors I've used feel about the same ruggedness, so I don't think it's a huge issue. It's just not built like a tank. On the back here, you've got your very simple instructions, and you've got some Teflon pads that allow it to slide back and forth across the wall really easily. And that's about all there is to this thing. It's really simple. It's a really smart, easy to use design. Alright, so this thing is pretty simple to use. You can put it right up against the stud. You don't have to calibrate, and you just hit the button. There it is. Then you can slide it sideways. It finds your next stud. Now these dual studs give it maybe a little bit of trouble, but not too much. It's fairly good at finding complicated geometries behind the wall. Like I said, not quite as good as the big brother, the 710, which will actually show both of these at the same time. And then, if you remember the Ryobi video, this one gave the Ryobi a ton of trouble, and you see the Franklin T6 handles it with no problems. And then you can also start it in the middle here. So no need to calibrate at all. You can start it on a stud, off a stud, halfway on a stud, still works. Very, very rugged and robust. Now let's take it in and see how it does on the textured drywall. Alright, so here I've got the textured wall that's just always the bane of my existence when I'm trying to use a stud finder on it. I don't know why the previous owner textured it, but they did. So we'll go ahead and start off. And like we should, we get the stud indication right here next to the electrical outlet. And I'll go ahead and get the tape out so you can see where the next one should hit. So we got 16 inches on center. Pretty close. I can chalk that up to my builders not getting it dead on. Another 16 inches. Boom, right on. And then another 16. Oh, it looks like they might have just gone for the corner instead of putting another stud right there when they had 2 more inches. So, there it is. This thing works surprisingly well, even on textured drywall. I don't know if it'll do lath and plaster. They do have a note in the instruction manual if you've got lath and plaster walls and it's not working real well, you can try going up and down because of the inconsistencies in depth in the plaster that you can get with that. So it's not something, you're sensing an inconsistency in depth when you're finding a stud. So when you have different thicknesses of wall covering that can really throw it off, it does seem to work well with the noise added though from this drywall texture. Alright, so a while back I reviewed the Ryobi ESF 5000 little stud sensor they have, and it's kind of a rip-off of Franklin's design with the LEDs out front, and it tells you exactly where a stud is when you put it on the wall. The differences between these two, the way they operate, Franklin has a patent on using, I think it's 3 or 4 plus sensors. There's 6 in this one, 13 in the 710. They actually use 1 sensor per LED. I talked to the Franklin engineers, and they weren't too happy about the Ryobi design. They said they opened it up to make sure they weren't infringing on any patents. And the Ryobi doesn't have 1 sensor per LED. It's got like, I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 that they're using, and then they're inferring from that. So Franklin's actually got all their patents listed on the back of this. And if you want to go take a look at them, it basically uses pattern recognition. So it will say, all right, I know a stud is 1.5 inches wide, so it's going to be 3 of these at a time. And it looks at the capacitance reading over all 6 of those sensors and matches a valid pattern of having a stud there to see it. The other big advantage this has over the Ryobi version is this one you don't need to calibrate. You just clunk it on there and it works. With the Ryobi you had to calibrate over an area that did not have a stud on it and then slide it over and then get your reading. This one you can start absolutely anywhere. You can start it off the wall and it works just fine. Alright, so big advantages of this little stud finder. It is much cheaper than Franklin's full-size 710. This is $30. The 710 is around $50, usually $50 to $55. This thing is more compact than that one is. It's one-handed. You can use it. It's just got one button on the side. The Ryobi version that was originally $30, now they bumped it down to $25. You have to use both hands on, which is a pain in the butt. This one is much easier to use one-handed. You don't have to calibrate it. You just click the button when you're off the wall and put it on, or put it on the wall and click the button and it finds your stud. Alright, so after using this thing on textured drywall and this mock wall where you can see exactly what's going on behind the drywall, this thing is awesome. It works better than any other stud finder I've ever used. And so whether you're looking for its bigger brother, the Franklin 710, which uses the same technology, or this one, the T6, I would highly recommend both of those. So hopefully this review was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions in the comment section below. And once again, don't forget to subscribe.